Welcome to the Wisdom of Women show. We are dedicated to amplifying the voice of women in a new model of leadership is emerging, and we are here to amplify the voices of women leading the way. I am your host, Coco Sellman, 5-time founder, impact investor, and creator of the Force for Good system. Thank you so much for joining us as we illuminate the path to unlocking opportunities and prosperity for women-led enterprises by amplifying the voice and wisdom of women. So today we have with us a absolutely inspirational and heart-grounded woman who I met a few months ago at a Know Women event, KNOW, the Know Women event here in New York City. And we sat next to each other and just became instant friends. And so today we have Nadine Nicholson, Master Certified Coach, founder of Ascend Leadership, and she has devoted 3 decades to learning and teaching time and personal mastery, helping high-performing entrepreneurs and founders with over $1 million in business achieve what she calls impossible freedom. This is the art of driving significant business growth while leading a fulfilling personal life without compromise. Her transformational leadership journey began following a profound personal crisis in 2009, which we're going to learn about, leading her to the realization that life is too precious to spend on things that don't truly matter. That resonates. This epiphany prompted her to leave her high-powered corporate role to establish Ascend Leadership, where she leverages her extensive experience to teach others how to balance professional success with personal well-being. Through her innovative 5 forces of ascended leadership, and yes, I like that too, Nadine provides visionary women founders with the tools to reclaim their time, lead with confidence, and scale their businesses efficiently. Her approach not only redefines success, but also empowers women leaders to live in complete integrity with their values, creating more freedom, more impact, more purpose in their lives and work. Welcome, Nadine. So happy to have you.
Thank you, Coco, for the invitation. It's such a sincere pleasure to be here with you and be back together.
You're just a treat to have here. So tell us, Nadine, what is one book written by a woman that has significantly influenced your life?
Well, the first person that came to mind when you asked that question just now is Brene Brown and the impact that she's had on humanity, I feel. And the first book I remember reading of hers is The Gifts of Imperfection. And it was so impactful because I remember the feeling like she's naming things that I feel, and she's normalizing what I didn't know how to bring into words. I really remember the impact that it had to help me understand myself.
All of that, those books that can help you understand yourself, that's profound, right? Brene Brown is truly transformative. I mean, we're going to remember her. She's going to be remembered throughout time for her work in helping bring out the value in imperfection and vulnerability and how important that is in business. And I think in many ways it's an attribute, being able to talk about our vulnerability, something that women really can do and can do really well. And it's important as leaders. So tell us, Nadine, I wanted to hear more about the moment that led you to birth Ascend Leadership.
Sure, I'd love to share it. I feel like I can share it now years later without completely breaking down in tears. It is still emotional because it's very personal. I was working at the time still in corporate and working really long hours, 60, 70 more hours a week. I had a young child. I was married already by then, and my son was just over a year old, almost 18 months old. And essentially, my dad passed away quite suddenly. He was diagnosed with cancer, and 3 weeks later, he passed away. He had stomach cancer. He's stage 4. He's when he was diagnosed. There are signs as we look back that he was ill for at least 6 months. When he passed away, he was in palliative care. My family was there, my mom, my sisters, and my husband, Derek, was in the room with us because my mom appreciated my husband's medical background. He worked in the medical industry, primarily in sales, but he understood and was a real advocate for us and our family. She felt very safe to have him there. And when my dad passed and took his last breath, we're hugging, my mom and I, and my sisters were hugging, and it was sad. Really, it's horrible. It was heartbreaking. Then I had this calling within myself, this pull to go back over to him. And I looked over him, and everybody else was kind of away from the bed by that point. And I looked over at him and I put my face over his face, and I noticed the color was leaving his face, and I could see like his face was becoming like this pearl color. And this was only 15, 20 minutes after he passed. Then I felt this breath of air, a little light wind come up into my face. I can really feel it right now in this moment. I'm reliving it, you know, and I'm really intuitive and always have been. And I was working so much and disconnected from my spirit and inner knowing at the time because I was so focused on growth and climbing the ladder and business success. This moment, this breath that came, I really believe it was his spirit coming to me. I heard a message, and the message said, Nadine, you have new life. You have new life. It was very clear, strong, and confident. And I mean, at the time, I was really sacrificing my life. I was sacrificing my health, my relationships, my dreams. Really, they were on the back burner in order to grow business. And I took that to mean that here he passed away and he passed on an opportunity to have new life and wake up. It was my wake up call to say, hey, wait a minute. How I'm living my life. This is not what I thought when I tried wanting to have a child, like the miracle of a child. I wasn't going to think I was only going to see him a half an hour or 45 minutes a day. So that was the wake up call. And then I took some steps to really reflect and redesign everything and took some steps to reinvent myself and start my business.
That's extraordinary. And I believe in hearing the voice within, right? I really do feel like that's the answer for all of us all the time to really be still and to be able to listen. And sometimes when we're running hard, we don't hear the voice as much. It's like all this other noise and static that's driving our lives. And when we get these moments where we really hear a voice that says, hey, Dean, you have the life. What a gift, and how profound that you listened.
Right. To me, it was a choiceless choice. And I see that not from a victim mindset or thinking I didn't have a choice. It was the choice that I looked at and I thought, here he just passed away from the time he was diagnosed to the time we had his funeral. It was 21
Yeah.
days. It was such a wake up call that I knew I couldn't keep going the way that I was because I knew that it wouldn't be in integrity with what I said mattered to me. And I said what mattered to me. But my family, my health, my relationships, I was compromising them. They were on the back burner. And so I knew inside of me with that wake up call that I wasn't willing to be out of integrity anymore. And it wasn't like I was waking up every day thinking, I'm going to be out of integrity today and have my life and my family and my relationships and my health on the back burner and compromise all that. This was not intentional. I was asleep to it essentially, but I realized with the wake up call that I was doing it and I needed to take responsibility to get into uh, integrity and align my values and what I said mattered with what I was doing with my time.
So, how have you bridged this into the work you do, this learning, and your past experience really working with corporate executives and being an executive? How has all this shaped your approach to working with powerhouse entrepreneurs today? One of my challenges has been, even when I'm in the midst of growing a company, I can't even hear my wants or needs for something else, right? To have the wellness, it just everything gets forfeited. So I imagine you work with a lot of executives who are tired, but at the same time, it's hard to let go and even imagine a different future. Tell me about your experience and how you help women, entrepreneurs, founders, and
Sure.
executives make that
Thank you.
transformation.
Sure. Thank you. So I had almost 20 years in corporate communications as a senior executive and before becoming a professional coach for senior like executives, founders, entrepreneurs in the entrepreneurial world. And so my background, I've been working with the most senior executives since I was very young. I was thinking back today to my first position in the corporate world in oil and gas. I live in Calgary, Alberta. It's an oil and gas city. I was working for the CEO of the company of a $3 billion company when I was 21 years old, right out of university. From that moment till the point that I started my own company, I was an advisor, a mentor, a coach, and my responsibility of what I was advising them on grew throughout my career. But really, it was all about helping them communicate effectively to their internal and external stakeholders. So, internal being employees, investors, layers of management, external being media, community, government. You can think of various examples of internal and external stakeholders. In the beginning of my career, I worked a lot in media relations, crisis communications. I was a media spokesperson. I coached senior executives on how to do media interviews when we had crisis situations like earthquakes and flooding. I created all the communication strategies and messaging and coached all the executives and managers to be able to deliver those messages and really help stakeholders really understand what was happening and keep them safe in many cases when they were crises. And then that evolved into becoming an advisor and working within a business unit, being an advisor to senior executives on all types of communications, like being more of a generalist. And all of that was about helping them like be seen, be understood, be confident, communicate effectively and successfully so they could grow their businesses and have people on board too with what it is that they're doing. So that background of being very comfortable working with people in senior roles, executives responsible for a lot of responsibility, running big budgets and huge goals and having huge influence. I've been doing that for a very long time. So I'm very comfortable with that. So where that shaped me going forward, because that's kind of the second part of your question, right?
And
What would you
how
like me
that
to
led
focus
you.
on next?
Yeah, how you now being you really understand where a woman founder is
Yeah.
and her dilemmas, right? Of trying to not be exhausted, still scale her company, feel connected to her values, and imagine the idea that she might have some time for herself.
So, you know, it's because I understand it. Not just that I was I've been advising senior executives and supporting them throughout my whole career. It's also
Mhm.
because I am one. I have been building my own leadership coaching and consulting company since 2009. I've built it to be over a seven-figure business myself. I'm leading an organization and I get it. Our son is almost 17 now. So I've been managing my family life and my own health. I can help and relate because I'm in the trenches because I had that transformative experience. I am able now to be able to understand and be in the trenches with these entrepreneurs and understand where they're at, understand their world, and also how I'm a wake up call for them because of what I've experienced. So I get to take a stand to help them focus their time on what truly matters most to them that is being unintentionally compromised. And that is creating the burnout and exhaustion. I think that that's an important point we need to say here is that working harder and working more is not creating exhaustion. That's not how people
Exactly.
get tired.
It's really when you're in it, you just convince yourself that's what you need to do, right? The only way forward is to run harder, harder, harder. It's perpetuating the exhaustion and also the lack of growth. It's not allowing you to see the freedom and possibility. So we've talked before and you've graced me with this idea of impossible freedom. And I just love for you to share what that is
Sure.
and how women who are running businesses and totally high achieving can have that and not let go of their success.
Okay, great. Impossible freedom is the outcome, it's the result of working with us. When I say us, I mean myself and my business partner, husband, Derek Nicholson. Impossible freedom is what most business owners, entrepreneurs, founders think is impossible to have this level of freedom. We're having fun with that. It's that idea where business and life feel like a zero sum game. In order to grow the business, I need to sacrifice something. I don't have time for my health. I got to focus on this business growth. It can be intentionally or unintentionally. So there's a feeling like I've got to sacrifice my life in order to grow the business. And if I focus on my life, then I'm going to sacrifice all my hard earned success in the business. Where that comes from is being stuck in the middle zone. And
Mm.
impossible freedom is actually not a zero sum game. It's a yes and essentially. It's where your success in your business feeds your success in your personal life. Your success in your personal life feeds your success in your business. They're not in conflict anymore. We're lifting both up. We're lifting your health, your relationships, and your business up simultaneously. Now, let's talk about the middle zone because this is really important. Most entrepreneurs and founders, where they're at, and you described it a couple minutes ago in different words, is they're stuck in the middle zone. I call it the middle zone of success. You think about climbing a mountain and you get to a certain point and you look down and you think, wow, I've come so far. You think, this is something. But then we look up and we think, this is unsustainable. I can't keep going like this. So the middle zone is a place where an entrepreneur knows it's unsustainable to stay because they're working harder to stay there. So what we've got to do is figuratively, metaphorically, pluck them off that plateau and like get them some perspective so they can get some breathing room and take the next leg of the mountain in a sustainable way.
Yeah.
And that is what creates possible freedom. That's what allows them to grow their business without sacrificing their success. They're focusing on their health, their relationships at the center of their calendar. They're designing their business around what matters most to them. Their business accelerates and grows exponentially because they're in alignment, because they're being true, because they're in integrity with what they know is deeply important. So that is really the path for impossible freedom. It's about breaking out of the middle zone of success, taking back your time, energy, redesigning your calendar, and being able to successfully achieve impossible freedom. And that's what we do with our clients.
It's amazing. I know that you have the five forces of ascended leadership. So perhaps that's what creates the impossible freedom. Is that how
That,
it works?
that's the how.
There,
So,
great. So could you
yeah,
maybe talk to us a bit about it and maybe walk us through, like, so each of us can have a tiny taste for ourselves, like how we can do this?
sure, of course. Okay. So, really, there are five forces of ascended leadership, and two are the lead actors, let's just say. Okay. So time mastery and united team. So really what we really do at Ascend Leadership is we help our clients break free from the middle zone of success and leverage their time and their team in order to successfully create impossible freedom. They grow their business without sacrificing their life. In fact, they have a more deeply rewarding life and grow their business simultaneously and at a more elevated rate. Time mastery is a key leadership skill that we start with. Time mastery is a lot of people think of time management. Time management is all about doing more in less time. Time mastery is something that we invented here and it's evolved. It's not just getting more done in less time. It's about making choices about your time that free up your time, making choices about your time that help you be rejuvenated and prioritized and allow you to be true to your values. So, time mastery is where you use your most important values to drive your decisions about your time. And that creates integrity inside. It's about mastering your time. Okay.
And what a gift that is, right? If you're actually doing things that you feel finally in integrity with in your life, you really do feel that sense of fulfillment, satisfaction, power, empowerment when you know you're doing what you really want to be doing, what you feel is right.
And identifying also connected to that, Coco, is being able to see because we all are doing a lot of things. You know, the clients that we work with, their calendars are slammed when they first start working with us. They're full. And a lot of what they're doing is not in their natural genius zone. Their natural genius zone would be, what they're best at, what that gives them joy, inspires them, fulfills them, passion, and what drives the highest level of revenue in their company. Most entrepreneurs, when we first start working with them, and these are entrepreneurs at 7, 8, 9 figure range, they're maybe 20% in their natural genius and of what's going to drive the revenue in the company.
It's because we start out doing everything and it's hard to give up those things. You think, if I stop doing this, then we're not going to keep growing, even though inside your mind, you know it's not sustainable. You can't possibly keep doing all the things you're doing if that's what's keeping you growing. You don't have any more time. You can't run any harder or any faster. So I love this idea, choices that free up your time and replenish your energy. So then the next one you said is the united team.
United team. So we start with time, then we go to team, and it's about leveraging time, leveraging team. Now, team is all about your united team. It's not just your employees, because a lot of people think, oh, team, it would be, well, who I hire. It's who's on my team. We see united team as your clients, family members, friends. This is about building and leading a united team that is cohesive around your vision. These two are intricately connected because it's about uniting and creating cohesiveness so that it frees up your time and it puts people on your team in their unique abilities too, in their natural genius areas too.
Beautiful. So we've just covered time mastery, and united team. What's the third
Yeah,
force in ascended leadership?
sure. Think of this like an equation, right? Time times team plus these next three. These three are more supporting skills that allow entrepreneurs to leverage their time and team to successfully create impossible freedom. The first one is wild wisdom. Our business is very focused on tapping into nature as a shortcut to a person's inner truth. Wild wisdom is like your inner knowing, your inner wisdom. We call it wild because the fastest way to access it is getting your feet on the ground in nature, going for a walk, getting into the forest, seeing the sky, getting out of a building. Wild wisdom is really tapping into the unwavering clarity of your highest truth, of your deepest desires, of your someday dreams. This is really confident clarity coming from within. A lot of people have conditioning to think, I should do that. I'm obligated to do that. If I don't do that, what are people going to think of me? That's all fear based thinking. What I'm talking about is tapping into the truth inside of you. And it's really hard to see yourself because you're so in the weeds yourself. And so we help with
Beautiful. Cultivating this wild wisdom. It's an intentional thing. It doesn't just happen when you're sitting and working on a spreadsheet, right? It's when you allow it to come and you find your ways of hearing it, whether it's paddleboarding or hiking or walking or painting even, right? Whatever it is that allows you to connect with that. I love what you said. I had a business coach once tell me that all of our clients, really more than anything, are buying our confidence. When we feel a sense of empowered confidence, we're unstoppable. And here it is. It's in this reservoir within. And what you said, it gives you that inner knowing, that unwavering clarity of your highest self, that confident clarity. Wow. What a worthwhile activity.
we work with clients that have $30 million businesses, $55 million businesses, bigger even, and smaller too. And it doesn't matter how many zeros are in the number.
Yeah.
They are often, when we first start working with them, doubting their decisions, getting paralyzed in indecision and decision fatigue. They're not taking action on the things that they know they need to do in order to get out of that middle zone. And why are they doing that? Because of the voices, because of worrying about what other people are going to think, worrying about disappointing others, worrying about making a wrong decision, worrying that it won't work out, or that that perfect person isn't available to be hired because they maybe don't even exist. And it's a huge time waster.
Right.
And it what it does is it erodes their confidence. And these are women leading multi-million-dollar businesses. They it's hard to be vulnerable. Like, they're not just going to go on Facebook or LinkedIn and say, "Hey, doubting every decision I'm making and I'm getting stuck and paralyzed." So they need to have a trusted, non-judgmental place to say, "Hey, this is what's going on and I'm stuck." And it
Beautiful.
really shifting people out of that takes those kinds of challenges, feeling paralyzed, not knowing that uh, they need to implement something that would make a massive difference in their company. These are things that are solved in 30 minutes with the proper support and coaching.
And, reminding oneself how to get back to that wild wisdom, getting out of
That's it.
right, out of those habits that are just perpetuating the fear and the voices of not knowing. Um,
Exactly.
So we have time master, united team, wild wisdom. What's force and ascended leadership?
The fourth is brave action. So
Mm.
once that, like, think of this: wild wisdom, brave action, and then the next one, which is courageous conversations. I'll just let it out. Those three skills are really, these are the skills that leverage time and team. These are the day-to-day skills. So wild wisdom is that clarity, that um, really getting that truth and that inner knowing, and fending off all that conditioning and fear, and really tapping into the truth, and help and feeling confident about that. Brave action is making a decision about that, actually making a decision about what to do about that. So it's really about identifying what is the decision, what is the action that is coming from the wild wisdom, which is really, wild wisdom is self trust and confidence.
Yes.
Brave action is making confident decisions and taking consistent, brave action from that energy, from that place of self trust and possibility, to implement a vision, to get to where they want to go, which is all impossible freedom, is what they
For
really
freedom.
want. Yeah.
It makes so much sense to me, Nadine, because and the other thing I'll say is that self trust is something that I've worked on a lot, and the it's not like you're just going to trust yourself, just like you're not going to trust anybody else. It takes time, so it's like you. So the more we can be in the practice of listening to our wisdom, and not just letting it sit there in our heads, but actually doing following the wisdom, taking the brave action. That's when we get self trust. That's the moment. You can't have it before you do it. And then what happens is you do these things that come out of your wild wisdom, and then and you're amazed, right? It's like, holy, wow, what? This is my power. And then you can start to trust yourself more. And then that wild wisdom acting in the wild wisdom becomes so virtuous, right? Because you just start to go, well, nothing works better than this. But it takes courage to do that from the start, right? And then your wild wisdom starts to get even more and more profound, right? That's my experience. But
You named it. When this, like you said, it is the way you're describing it, you're so in tune with this, because it, what, this happens one decision at a time. So remember I said earlier in the conversation that when we first start working with a client, these are clients that are already running successful businesses. These people, these entrepreneurs have had a lot of success in their careers. And a lot of them have had a lot of leadership development also. Some haven't, some haven't had coaching or done coaching before. Some have. On average, about 20% of their decisions are coming from wild wisdom, and about 80% are coming from fear, scarcity, self-doubt, not enoughness. What are people going to think? When those decisions and actions are coming from 80% of the time, at least, right, are coming from that place, what they're doing, of course, is they're attracting more of it. They're attracting more self-doubt, indecision, fear. What are people going to think? And it is debilitating. It is absolutely debilitating. It's exhausting. It's hard to be in place. Now, over time of working with us, our goal, Derek and I, is to build this skill set within them so that we are literally leading them in a way to grow in these self leadership skills so that they are inside of them and sustainable. And then by the time we know we're done, complete with someone, we know that they're making about, on average, at least 80% of their decisions are coming from self trust, inner knowing, wild wisdom, confidence. And what they do is they just, it multiplies, but they're growing in confidence, not from, oh, I'm so successful. Look at me. I'm so good. I've done all these, I have all these accolades. They're growing in confidence from the inside, from that inner conviction, and they have peace within themselves. So they're making decisions from in brave action. And how do we flip the 80/20? We flip it one decision and action at a time.
Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. So then courageous conversations bring us to this fifth, this fifth force.
Okay, so this is the third kind of supporting skill of the time and the team, really to bring time and team alive and bring impossible freedom to life alive. Courageous conversations is all about sincere relationship building, impeccable follow-up, clear communication that develops invaluable reciprocal relationships. So this is where a big part of my background in sales comes in. And this is where, or in, sorry, in corporate communications and also sales, because this is about negotiations. Co- Sometimes courageous communication is about negotiating big contracts. And this is where, for my husband, he has over 25 years in helping also senior leaders and communicate effectively, have hard conversations. And his biggest background is sales and negotiations. So think of these three in a row, right? You've got wild wisdom, inner truth, inner knowing, knowing what the person's truth is about a situation. Then the next step is getting clear on what the decision and action is related to that clarity. And then the final step is communicating it and having courageous conversations with people who are impacted by that decision and that action. This is about getting um, internal and external stakeholders um, on board and engaged and understanding. And what that does is it multiplies the person's success in implementing that decision and action.
It makes so much sense to me, Nadine, because so often I know when you're starting a company and you're growing it and your team grows with you, at the beginning, you're doing so many things on your own. And so everything is stuck up here in your head. And then as you start to grow your team, if you don't keep communicating over and over again the narrative of what really, the purpose of the company is, the vision of the company, what's important, where we're going, how we're getting there, right? If we don't completely, and if we don't have it written down for ourselves, if we don't have it out there, then the team can't align and begin to grow and bring their brilliance, right? Find their wild wisdom, take brave action, and have more courageous conversations. And
Yeah.
so you're stuck being the only one doing all the hard stuff, right? But when you enroll your team, then now you can really start to set back and you can take on a whole other life of its own, right? And that's
And
really awesome.
they want to contribute. And so,
Yes.
like building on what you're saying, Coco, is that a lot of times, again, the entrepreneurs we work with, the founders that we coach, they are telling us we've built so much trust with them because we like it is imperative that we build this level of trust with them so that we can help them trust themselves and really be able to at a whole nother level, right? And
Totally.
what's happening is often is they know there's something that they need to do. They know there's something they need to deal with. Maybe it's like a challenging HR director or a finance lead or a sales manager that it's just not working out and it's causing challenges throughout the organization. They know they need to deal with it, or they know they need to hire an operations director or VP. But what happens is they get right, that self-doubt comes up or that overthinking comes up. They get stuck. Then time goes on and it kind of gets more difficult. And then it's like, okay, well, it's like it's become harder now. It multiplies in difficulty because it's been so long. And then what happens is they get paralyzed in it and it's very stressful. So just that process of being able to get that clarity, make that decision, communicate courageously. Oh, I can't tell you how many times a client of ours has come back and said, "Oh my gosh," like you said earlier in the conversation, like they'll say, "Why did I wait so long? I've wasted, so much time and energy worrying about this. I just wish I would have done this so much sooner because it wasn't as bad as I thought."
Right, right. It's and just having that support. So tell us about how you work with clients and
Sure,
your services and program.
sure. So we primarily, Derek and I, we work as a team. So we coach our clients um, privately. We don't run a big group program or have a big online program that people need to watch all these recordings. Our clients don't have time for that. And they don't have time to be on big group programs where the discussion is about other people's stuff. Now, I'm not saying there isn't some value in that, in getting learning from other people. There is. But what our clients really want, our ideal client is they want personalized, private coaching on their business, on their life, on their issues. So that's what we do. We call our coaching ascend to freedom, to impossible freedom. And we call it really, it's really about where primarily we work with clients for about 12 months typically. Um, Sometimes if a person is already far along in terms of working on some of the things that similar to what we do, it could be shorter, it could be longer. Um, but what we do is we invite them to, usually I meet people at conferences, I go to conferences and I meet potential clients very organically because it's all about focusing on the relationship and nurturing it. And then I have a coffee date with them, get to know them. What I'm really understanding is where are they? How motivated are they for change? Have they had a wake up call that really is compelling them to make this better for themselves? I'm looking at their coachability, how really, what is their motivation? And I know what we do and how we work and what we specialize in. So I'm really looking, okay, is there some chemistry here? And is what we do, are we meant to work on what they've got? Can we really help them? Then I invite them to meet Derek because if someone decides to work with us, they are working with both of us and they're gaining our skills, both of our skills. And then we do a discovery call and really go in and do a gap analysis. Where are they now? Where do they really want to be? Where do they need to be? And then I know right then and there whether or not we're the best fit for them to help. And if we are, I'm not shy about recommending us. And if we're not, I make a different recommendation on what would serve them in a different way.
Brilliant. Brilliant. And so I know that our listeners are going to want to figure out and be able to have more access to you. So I know you're starting up or you started a roundtable,
Yes.
and I'm excited about that. I'm planning to attend your roundtable. Tell us about what that is and how people can get into it.
Oh, I'm so excited about this. So yeah, I'm just in the process of launching this. The first one's next week. So maybe by the time some people listen to this, we'll already have a few under our belts. Who knows? So you can go to the URL is Ascend Leadership. So ASCEND leadership.com/roundtable. Is once a month. I'm personally leading this 60-minute call. There are 8 spots. There is no cost to attend. And this is for 8 entrepreneurs, founders who really want to connect with others and learn. And there's no selling. What I mean by that is I'm not going to sell. I'm not going to go up there and sell, online program or anything like that, or with any kind of sense of urgency or fast track, fast action bonuses. None of that is going to happen.
Sure.
What's going to happen? And nobody else can sell either. what's going to happen is we'll have a topic. We have a topic for each call, and I will facilitate an opportunity for everybody to get to know, like to meet each other, and know what they do, and create some connections, because there's going to be some really good relationships built. It's a networking opportunity, and in addition, it's a learning opportunity because I'll have a topic. So some of the topics, I think maybe people would like to know some of the topics. Here are five. Okay. How to free up time for more strategic money making work.
Mm.
We have a client who is like just started working with us, and she has been really getting, you know, so focused on some operational issues that she hasn't been working on an acquisition and buying a building that she needs and wants to do. These are
So,
the kinds of things,
yes,
strategic money
right.
making work. Um, that's one example. How to leverage your team to free up your time so that you as a team can bring in more revenue into the company.
Oh, don't we all want that?
How to have conversations with your team about hard things
Uh, um,
and changes, right? How to communicate changes and decisions that you're making. How to make confident decisions without falling into self-doubt and indecision.
don't we all want that, right? Just to be able to hear what that is, go and do it. And
And
then
then, yeah,
be unapologetic with yourself,
unapologetic.
right?
Right.
With yourself and
Um,
the world. So if you're listening, I hope you go and check this out. I really do think this is going to be a powerful experience. I'm going to participate. I can't wait. I can't wait to meet the other visionary women who will be there. Um, ascendleadership.com/roundtable. I will also include it in the description below. Um, and so this is just wonderful. And, I'm so honored that we got to spend this time together. Nadine. I um, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for inviting me. It is such an honor to share these stories, and to you're bringing out this from me. This is a big year. Derek and I are writing a book on impossible freedom, and I can't wait to, I've been loving being part of your team, and encouraging you, and because your book needs to be seen, and I'm really looking forward to tapping into some of your wins and your lessons that you've had from this book launch, and bringing them into the experience in about 9 months or so. So thank you
What?
for leading the way.
Oh goodness. And I can't wait. I was gonna ask you if you have a book on the way. So this is wonderful. Impossible freedom. I'm all about learning, growing into that. And for everyone listening, thank you so much for joining us today. And if you enjoyed our time together, of course you did, please be sure to follow, like, and share the Wisdom of Women show on whatever your favorite listening or viewing platform is. And be sure to infuse more of your wisdom into your business. And a great way to do that is to take the growth readiness quiz out of forceforgood.biz/quiz. Cover where your is most needed. The world is made better by women like you. So let's all go make the world a better place. Thank you.
Thanks so much, everybody, for listening. I hope to connect with you soon if you feel with what we talked about. I hope you have a rest of your week.